Throughout the annals of time, from the lofty peaks of power to the depths of despair, history is replete with tales of triumph and tragedy. Today, we delve into the lives of some of history's well-known figures who, despite their monumental legacies, faced the ultimate reversal of fortune. Join us as we uncover the stories of emperors, innovators, and leaders who lost everything, from the corridors of power to the isolation of exile. This is the tale of their rise, their fall, and the legacy they left behind. Born into the Ptolemaic dynasty that ruled Egypt for nearly 3 centuries, Cleopatra VII ascended to the throne as a living goddess, the embodiment of Isis herself. Her reign was marked by shrewd political alliances and a legendary romance with Julius Caesar, which secured her grip on power. But it was her liaison with Mark Antony that would mark both the zenith of her influence and the beginning of her downfall. Together, they dreamt of creating a new empire that would rival Rome. However, the winds of fate were not in their favor. Their defeat at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC by Octavian, the future Augustus Caesar, marked the end of their ambitions and the beginning of the end for Cleopatra's Egypt. Faced with the loss of her kingdom, her beloved Antony, and her independence to Rome, Cleopatra chose to end her own life, employing a method as dramatic as her reign, a venomous asp. With her death, the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt faded into the sands of time, her once glorious kingdom swallowed by the Roman Empire. Cleopatra's life is a testament to the fleeting nature of power and the enduring allure of her story, a queen who had everything and lost it all, leaving behind a legacy shrouded in mystery, romance, and tragedy. Ludwig II of Bavaria, often remembered as the fairy tale king, embarked on an ambitious journey to transform the Bavarian landscape with his extravagant architectural projects. His vision brought to life the iconic Neuschwanstein Castle, a testament to his love for the arts and a symbol of romantic idealism. Yet, Ludwig's dreams harbored the seeds of his downfall. Engulfed by mounting debts due to his lavish expenditures on castle constructions, Ludwig faced criticism from the Bavarian government and its citizens. His obsession with creating a world of fantasy clashed with the realities of ruling, leading to accusations of insanity by his own ministers. In 1886, Ludwig was deposed and declared mentally unfit to govern, a move that shattered his world. Mysteriously, he was found dead in Lake Starnberg under circumstances that remain unresolved. Ludwig's tragic end mirrors the ephemeral nature of dreams, leaving behind a legacy of beauty shadowed by sorrow. Ludwig II's story is a poignant reflection on the cost of pursuing one's vision at the expense of practical governance, a king who lost everything in his quest to create a fairy tale realm. Oscar Wilde, the epitome of Victorian wit and literary brilliance, once held London's social and literary world in the palm of his hand. Celebrated for his razor-sharp wit and flamboyant style, Wilde's works, including The Picture of Dorian Gray and The Importance of Being Earnest, challenged the norms of his time, earning him both acclaim and controversy. But at the height of his fame, Wilde's world came crashing down. His conviction for gross indecency due to his homosexual relationships led to a dramatic fall from grace. Sentenced to 2 years of hard labor, the experience broke his health and spirit. Wilde emerged a shadow of his former self, financially ruined and socially ostracized. Exiled in France, Wilde spent his last years wandering, a poignant figure of unfulfilled potential and societal hypocrisy. He died destitute in Paris in 1900, his legacy a bitter reminder of the cost of authenticity in an unforgiving society. Wilde's story is a tragic tale of brilliance dimmed too soon, a reminder of the thin line between adoration and condemnation. Hernando Cortés, a name synonymous with conquest and ambition, sailed across the ocean with dreams of glory and gold. In the early 16th century, his audacious expedition led to the fall of the Aztec Empire, a feat that would etch his name into the annals of history. With a combination of military prowess, strategic alliances, and a relentless pursuit of wealth, Cortés exemplified the ruthless spirit of the age of exploration. Yet, the very ambition that propelled him to greatness sowed the seeds of his downfall. Despite his monumental conquests, Cortés found himself embroiled in legal battles, struggling against the Spanish crown for recognition and reward. His later years were marked by disillusionment and financial woes, as the vast wealth he sought evaded his grasp. Dying in Spain, far from the lands he conquered, Cortés's legacy is a complex tapestry of bravery and brutality, of monumental success and profound loss. His story reminds us that even the mightiest can fall, their dreams of immortality confronted by the harsh verdicts of history. In the Roaring Twenties, George Remus turned prohibition into a gateway for immense wealth, becoming the kingpin of the American bootlegging empire. A former lawyer, Remus exploited loopholes in the prohibition laws to legally own distilleries, only to divert their outputs to the black market. His operations generated millions, and he lived as lavishly as the fictional characters he inspired, including Jay Gatsby. But Remus's empire crumbled as swiftly as it rose. Betrayed by those closest to him, including his wife, who conspired with a federal agent to empty his fortune, Remus found himself imprisoned, his assets seized, and his power vanished. Upon his release, a dramatic turn of events led Remus to murder his wife in a fit of rage and betrayal. Though acquitted on grounds of temporary insanity, he emerged a broken man, his empire dismantled, his wealth dissipated, and his legacy tarnished by tragedy and loss. George Remus's tale is a dazzling spectacle of ambition and downfall, a vivid illustration of how the pursuit of wealth and power can lead to one's ultimate demise. Benedict Arnold's name is etched in history, not for his valor on the battlefield, but for his infamous act of treason. Once a revered American general during the Revolutionary War, Arnold's early contributions were pivotal in the struggle for independence. His daring exploits at Saratoga are credited with turning the tide of the war in favor of the Continental Army. Yet, disillusioned by perceived slights and consumed by debts, Arnold's allegiance wavered. In a shocking turn, he plotted to surrender West Point to the British, aiming to end the very revolution he once fought to advance. His scheme unraveled, branding him a traitor to the cause and the country he had served. Arnold fled to British protection, leaving behind his honor, reputation, and the respect of a nascent nation. His name became synonymous with betrayal, his heroic deeds overshadowed by his treachery. Benedict Arnold's story is a tragic testament to how personal grievances can lead to a legacy lost, a reminder of the fine line between heroism and infamy. Napoleon Bonaparte, a name that conjures images of military genius and imperial ambition, rose from the ashes of the French Revolution to become Emperor of France. His strategic mind and relentless drive brought much of Europe under his control, reshaping the continent in his image. Napoleon's legal reforms, known as the Napoleonic Code, endure as his lasting legacy, influencing legal systems worldwide. However, the tide of power is ever fickle. The disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812 marked the beginning of Napoleon's downfall. Defeated at Leipzig and finally at Waterloo, Napoleon was exiled to the remote island of St. Helena. Far from the battlefields that had once sung with his glory, he spent his last years in isolation, stripped of power and empire. Napoleon's story is a stark reminder of the impermanence of power. From the pinnacle of European politics to a lonely island exile, his life encapsulates the profound highs and lows that fate can bestow, leaving a legacy that is both grand and cautionary. Alan Turing, a visionary mathematician and the father of modern computing, laid the groundwork for the digital age. His brilliance during World War II, deciphering the Enigma code, was pivotal in the Allied victory. Turing's work at Bletchley Park remains one of the greatest contributions to the war effort and the advancement of technology. Despite his monumental achievements, Turing faced persecution for his homosexuality in a time of intolerance. Convicted of gross indecency, the very country he helped save forced him into chemical castration, a barbaric attempt to cure his sexual orientation. This tragic turn of events led to his untimely death, believed to be suicide at the age of 41. Alan Turing's story is a poignant narrative of a hero betrayed by his nation, a man who gave everything for the greater good, only to lose his personal freedom and dignity. His posthumous pardon in 2013, though a symbolic gesture, underscores the tragic loss of a brilliant mind to prejudice. Julius Caesar, Rome's most illustrious general and statesman, whose name became synonymous with power and ambition. His military genius and political acumen led Rome to unparalleled glory, expanding its borders and cementing his legacy as one of history's greatest leaders. Yet, Caesar's unparalleled rise set the stage for his dramatic fall. In the Ides of March, 44 BC, Caesar's fate was sealed. Betrayed by those he trusted, his life ended beneath the statues of his predecessors, a victim of his own hubris and the Senate's fear of his growing power. The very empire he had expanded turned against him, fearing his ascent to tyranny. Caesar's death plunged Rome into chaos, igniting a series of civil wars that would eventually extinguish the flame of the republic he had served. From the zenith of power to a brutal end, Caesar's story is a timeless reminder of the volatile nature of power and ambition. His legacy, though immortal, is a tale of triumph, overshadowed by betrayal and loss. Antoine Lavoisier, heralded as the father of modern chemistry, revolutionized science with his insistence on meticulous experimentation. His discoveries laid the foundation for chemical nomenclature, the conservation of mass in chemical reactions, and the identification of oxygen's role in combustion. Lavoisier's work transcended the laboratory, impacting industries, agriculture, and the very air we breathe. Yet, in the tumult of the French Revolution, Lavoisier's innovations could not shield him. Accused of tax fraud and profiteering by the Revolutionary Tribunal, his contributions to humanity were overshadowed by his association with the Ancien Régime. In 1794, Lavoisier was executed by guillotine. His pleas for more time to complete his research met with cold indifference. The loss of Lavoisier was not just a personal tragedy, but a profound setback for science. It was said, "The Republic needs neither scientists nor chemists. The course of justice cannot be delayed." Lavoisier's story is a stark reminder of how enlightenment can be extinguished by the darkness of political upheaval. King Charles I of England, a monarch whose reign was marked by conflict and controversy, ascended the throne in a period rife with political tension. His steadfast belief in the divine right of kings and his attempts to govern without parliament set the stage for the English Civil War. Charles's unwavering conviction led to a nation divided, a kingdom at war with itself. The conflict's culmination saw Charles captured by parliamentary forces, a king tried by his subjects. In a historic and unprecedented act, he was found guilty of high treason. The sentence was as dramatic as it was final: execution. On a cold January day in 1649, Charles I walked to the scaffold, his fall from grace complete. His execution symbolized the end of an era and marked the first time a reigning monarch would be put to death by his people. Charles I's story is a haunting narrative of absolute power challenged, a legacy forever defined by loss and the ultimate sacrifice. It serves as a somber reminder of the fragile balance between sovereignty and the will of the governed. King Louis XVI of France, a monarch born to rule over an empire, yet destined to witness its unraveling. His reign, overshadowed by economic turmoil and societal unrest, became the catalyst for the French Revolution, a turning point that would change the course of history. Despite efforts to reform France's financial structure and support the American Revolution, Louis's actions were too little, too late to quell the rising tide of discontent. Tragically, Louis XVI's inability to grasp the depth of the revolution's fervor led to his downfall. Captured and imprisoned, he was stripped of his crown, his dignity, and ultimately, his life. On a cold January morning in 1793, Louis XVI was executed by guillotine, a stark symbol of the Revolution's wrath and the end of monarchical rule in France. His death not only marked the fall of an individual, but the collapse of an ancient regime, highlighting the volatility of power and the peril of disconnect between a leader and his people. King Louis XVI's story is a poignant reminder of how quickly fortunes can change, leaving behind a legacy etched with lessons for the ages. Nero, the last emperor of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, whose reign is synonymous with tyranny, extravagance, and the infamous Great Fire of Rome. Ascending to the throne at a young age, Nero's rule began with promise, but quickly descended into chaos and controversy. His lavish projects drained the empire's coffers, while his ruthless purges of perceived enemies sowed fear and resentment. Legend has it that Nero played the lyre as Romy Bernard, an act that became a metaphor for his disconnect with the reality of his subjects' suffering. His reign culminated in rebellion and betrayal, leaving Nero with no choice but to flee the city he once ruled. In 68 AD, abandoned and condemned as a public enemy, Nero took his own life, marking a dramatic end to his controversial rule. His death sparked a year of civil war, known as the Year of the Four Emperors, profoundly impacting the Roman Empire's future. Nero's story is a cautionary tale of power unchecked, a reminder of how absolute authority can lead not only to a ruler's downfall, but also to the detriment of an empire. At the twilight of the Russian Empire, Tsar Nicholas II stood as a symbol of centuries-old autocracy. Ascending to the throne in 1894, he inherited a nation rife with social unrest and on the brink of modernity. Despite his efforts to preserve the imperial lineage and the divine right that crowned it, the wheels of change were already in motion. The Great War became the crucible in which the fate of the Romanov dynasty was sealed. As millions of Russians suffered losses, the Tsar's decisions led to widespread despair and the erosion of faith in the crown. The February Revolution of 1917 marked the beginning of the end for Nicholas II. Forced to abdicate, he and his family were exiled, marking a dramatic fall from grace. Their tragic execution in 1918 extinguished the Romanov lineage and heralded the rise of the Soviet era. Nicholas II's story is a poignant reminder of the impermanence of power and the relentless march of history, transforming a sovereign to a captive, a dynasty to a memory. Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, was a polymath whose interests spanned various fields, including politics, architecture, and science. His vision for America was profound, advocating for liberty and democracy in an era of monarchies. Jefferson's Monticello and the University of Virginia stand as testaments to his architectural genius and his belief in the power of knowledge. Despite his monumental contributions, Jefferson's final years were shadowed by financial turmoil. His extensive spending on projects and his estate, combined with debts inherited and accrued, led to financial ruin. Monticello, his beloved home, and much of his property were sold after his death to pay off his creditors, leaving his family in hardship. Jefferson's legacy as a founding father contrasts starkly with the personal financial disaster he faced, a reminder that even the most brilliant minds are not immune to the vicissitudes of fortune. His story is a testament to the complexities of history, where great achievements often coexist with profound struggles. Nikola Tesla, the visionary inventor whose genius revolutionized the way we harness and utilize electricity, remains one of history's most enigmatic figures. With over 300 patents to his name, Tesla's innovations laid the groundwork for modern alternating current systems, wireless communication, and many other technological marvels we take for granted today. Despite his unparalleled contributions to science and technology, Tesla's life was marked by financial instability and obscurity. His later years were overshadowed by his battles with rivals and his inability to find financial support for his grandiose projects. Tesla died alone in a New York hotel room, penniless and largely forgotten by the world that his inventions had transformed. The tale of Nikola Tesla is a poignant reminder of the precarious line between genius and obscurity. In his quest to push the boundaries of human understanding, he sacrificed personal wealth and recognition, leaving a legacy that would only be fully appreciated posthumously. Marie Antoinette, the last queen of France before the French Revolution, remains one of history's most misunderstood figures. Born into Austrian royalty, she became a symbol of the excess and extravagance of the French monarchy. Her life at the opulent Palace of Versailles seemed a fairy tale, yet it was this splendor that sowed the seeds of her downfall. As France teetered on the brink of revolution, Marie Antoinette's lavish lifestyle became a focal point of public ire. Misattributed with saying, "Let them eat cake," her name became synonymous with the callous disregard attributed to the monarchy. The revolution that swept through France sought to dismantle the very world she represented. Captured and imprisoned, Marie Antoinette faced her final moments with dignity. In 1793, she was executed by guillotine, her fall from grace complete. Once a queen, she became a martyr of the revolution, her story a tragic tale of beauty, opulence, and the ultimate price of privilege.